Hello, hello, it rolls around fast. Back to writing adventures, and guess what? The castle is on the menu. That's right. Let's take our castle that we've built and let's burn it to the ground. Let's wreck it. Let's do something terrible to it. That's what today's all about. For those of you who are wondering, yes, we're going to take a castle, stronghold, fortress, and do some horrible things. I have done a lot of pre-preparation for this, and we're going to try to do this a little bit differently today, but it does still have similarities to what we've done before. I've put up a poll. Feel free to take part in that poll. Use the chat because you'll need it. My suggestion to you is, seriously, you want to make sure that you have some food, some drink, that you're comfortable and ready to go, because there's a lot to cover, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Always fun to burn something to the ground. So let's do that today, shall we? Hi, welcome to How to RPG. My name is Fred Weller, and today I want to talk about tabletop role-playing games. Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, whatever you're playing, Shadow Dark, I don't care. That's all good. But it's about fantasy. It's about a stronghold under siege, a castle under siege. How do we actually make an adventure around that? Now, you've obviously got a bunch of notes in Game Master guides and so forth that you can work with. But today, we're going to be taking a pre-made map that I've created using a piece of software. And we're going to, I've already numbered it, and we're going to label it very quickly. And then we're going to destroy it. We're going to have some things happening to make it a little bit more interesting, because we want to put this castle, the stronghold, this fortress under siege. It is being attacked by an army. That is the intention for today. So here is the map that you're going to be working with. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions very quickly. I don't want you to get sidetracked on everything, okay? I know it's very easy to do so. Our first question to you is hashtag, what army, what type of army is attacking the stronghold or castle? Okay, what type of army is attacking the stronghold or castle? That's our first point of call. Now, there's lots of things we can do with a castle, and I've broken it up into little areas, but this is the first question I want you to start thinking about. Use the chat for that. Come up with an idea. My first choice is not to have a human army necessarily, but there's a lot of things we could use. We could obviously use humans. That's fine. It's a human army of some kind. We could use goblins. We could use orcs. We could use hobgoblins. Hobgoblins are very militaristic, you know. Goblins would hobgoblins, you know. We can go with giants. We could do a lot of different things. A wizard's guild attacking. Okay, so there's a very different approach if you're dealing with wizards. So have a think about that. And we can roll back to that point. What I want to do is I want to go through very quickly, and normally I would get you to do a whole lot of information on every location, and that's not what I'm going to do today. I've discovered that actually gets us lost. We're going to do the event, all the things that are happening. We're going to do that in about half an hour. Right now, for the next 25 minutes, we're just going to label areas. So hashtag number of area. What is there? Okay, what is there? What is it? That's all you need to worry about. I'm going to work your way through this a little bit because I have done some pre-arranged work on this. I'm moving back and forth. Sorry about that. So my suggestion to you is the number one is probably the main gate. Okay, so I would suggest we label number one the main gate. Okay. You could put down gatehouse or whatever, but I think the main gate. I think it's pretty obvious from the map that number two is the rear gate. It has a gatehouse right next to it. There's a building there, okay, and there's a small gate, whereas the front gate is much larger, and the gates, of course, are open right now. But that's just the way the map is drawn, okay? You can close the gates. That's not the issue. So it's not like the armed forces are going to roll on in and do their thing. I would suggest to you that area 3, 4, 5, and 6, they're all fortified towers. Now, we can do something different with every single one of them if we really wanted to. I'm going to label them fortified tower A, B, C, D. Okay, unless, of course, you've got a better idea, that's fine. Number 7 looks like another fortified tower. Now, I'm suggesting that maybe this is an observation tower. It doesn't have to be. I'm not labeling all this stuff for you people. I'm just putting forward some suggestions. Now, there's a bunch of other things that can usually be included in a castle area. I mean, you can have mess halls, you can have soldier barracks, you can have a stable area for keeping animals and feed and so forth. You can have an armory, you can have a smithy with a forge, you can have a chapel, you can have a kitchen areas, kitchen buildings that are essentially built for that very purpose. You could have a jailhouse. You could have, obviously, the castle keep. Now, I think it's pretty clear that number 12 is the castle keep. Guard towers, each with 3 guards and 1 arabellist. What is an arabellist? I'm not sure. Fred Hubert. Let's have a look. Fred Hubert is a patron, by the way. Thank you for being here. So let's see what an arabella. I don't know. Are you talking about ballista? It is a crossbow. Okay, it's a crossbow. It's just been spelt a little bit differently. Okay. A variation of the crossbow. What is the difference between an arquebuss and a crossbow? That's a very good question. Shorter range compared to an arquebuss. So crossbows have a shorter range. So this has a much longer range. Okay. All right. So arquebuss. Okay, I can see that. That's fine. So, good. I will include that into your suggestion there. We can put those in there right now, and I will. It is a wind back crossbow, basically. A crank loading crossbow. Okay, I think I've got the gist of that crossbow. Okay, so let's just make sure I've got your arquebus in. You said 3 guards. That's fine. So I'm doing that right now. Paste and dropping some stuff in very quickly. Okay, all right, so next I need to make sure I put the right building in the right place. Hello, Peter Delios, how are you? Number 7 looks big enough to be the barracks. You reckon number 7 should be the barracks? It could be barracks, possibly. So barracks, you've suggested barracks. Shoots 2-inch diameter, 4-foot long bolts. Good Lord. Okay, so we need to make sure we have barracks in here, don't we? Do I have barracks? Soldiers barracks. Yes, we've got soldiers barracks. Okay, I'm marking that down. Okay, so number 12 is going to be our keep. I'm going to mark that. It's the biggest building. It's near the center. It probably should be the keep. Okay, so we'll call number 12 the keep. Dun, dun, dun. So here we go. Castle keep, Great Hall. Okay, we've got a bunch of things going on here. And I will just take this. And I think I've got this mostly done. Okay, Castle keep, Great Hall, Throne room, interior, water well. Don't know about that. Multiple purposes for Great Hall. So we've got a few things going on here. Okay, so I've done that bit. For those of you who are wondering, I've got our central area done. Now, as soon as we get to, hello Phil, how are you? As soon as I get to 12:30 in the next 20 minutes, we're going to shift. I'm going to ask you a completely different question, which is basically, how do we destroy this thing? Because we want to lay siege to it, right? So first we have to build it, and then we have to just figure out how to destroy it and make our players sweat and figure out what they're going to do. So hello Phil, Cooney, how are you doing, mate? Okay, so next let's go through what else we could include into a castle, for those of you who are wondering. Pick a number, decide what it's going to be, and I will shuffle things around. So we obviously need to have gatehouse, okay. Number one is probably the front main gate is going to have a gatehouse of some kind to there, more than likely, okay. This is going to have things like your portcullis, your murder holes, your boiling oil, maybe a drawbridge. In this case, we don't really have a drawbridge because there's no moat on this castle. It doesn't have a moat. Arrow slits, obviously, and possibly a small guardhouse, sleeping quarters for the troops. You know, just not necessarily for all the troops in the castle, but for the ones that are supposed to be on duty on the front gate and are taking turns, particularly in a time of war. We have the Great Hall, which will be, of course, included in our keep. Okay, we could have a chapel, as I mentioned. We can have kitchen area, you know, a kitchen block. We can have stables, as I mentioned before. The smithy, water wells. We can include a water well into our keep if we want to, or put it somewhere else. It's really sort of up to you. A bailey is really just the area of land in the middle of the castle. Okay, so we do have a bailey. We don't necessarily have to actually label it as such, because the bailey is really going to be made up of a collection of buildings such as kitchens, chapels, barracks, you know, stables, workshops, servant houses or halls, things like that. Obviously the guard towers, we were just talking about that. Fred Huber's got us moving, given us the right equipment for our guard tower. We could also mount a ballista on that thing, for those of you who want some defences for it, because it's going to be attacked very shortly. We could also include a dungeon area or a jailhouse or something like that for keeping prisoners, if we're going to keep prisoners. Now, your dungeon might include things like the prison cells, your torture chamber, your execution area, things like that. As I said, this way we don't have a moat because there's no moat on this particular castle. We have pantry areas that might be connected to the kitchen block, or larders, things like that. We could have things like, I don't know, this is not a huge area. We could have an ice house. So there's a couple of things. We can have storage areas, maybe a place of arms, maybe a casement. That might not work in the situation, but we'll see. Think in terms of what are the most valuable aspects of our castle that we definitely need to have. Those are the things we include and label. Those are the things we put in. Okay? All right, cool. So you reckon number 8 should be the blacksmith. Okay, all right, I can see that. And you've already given me a civilized half-orc and a name. Okay, now there's a granary. Peter wants to put a granary in here. Okay, so one of the first things I will say to you is that there's a reason why I didn't ask you to put NPCs in here. One, because I didn't want to make it too complicated. If you want to do that, you can. That's cool. That's fine with me. But I deliberately left that off the cards just for the sake of keeping things simple. Do you know what I mean? But by all means, if you want to include that sort of thing, you can. So already the smithy needs to be number 8. I'm fine with the smithy being number 8. A tool shed and metal storage area. So we can actually plonk that in number 8. So cut. And I'll write up number 8 for that one. So where would the granary, if we're going to put a granary in, which number would you going to assign it to? That's the question. Like, I don't have a problem with putting granary in. It's just which one would be the granary, you know? by all means, let's have a granary. But where would it be? That's the question. And I am writing up granary right now, for those of you who are wondering if I was adding it in. Yes, I absolutely am. He mentioned granary, so I will put granary in. Okay. And I'm pulling information because I have a lot of notes on this sort of stuff that maybe you can't see right now. I'm working on a Google document. I will show you the Google document in about 15 minutes with our completed castle, okay? And then we're going to destroy it. That's the plan, people. That's the plan. So when we say granary, what do we mean by granary? I guess that's the question to ask. It's like, if we say we want to include a granary, what actually is a granary? Okay, all right. Whoopsies. Granary. And I'm going to go over here. Something I probably need to do is share the link to Dave's mapper, because this is what I used to make the map today. Jean, how are you? Paste. There we go. This is Dave's mapper. This is how I created the map. It is not it's not drawn by me. Okay, anybody could use it and make up their own thing. It is simply an example. This is the whole point of this. Okay, storage and supplies. So, Jean, have you decided on which building complex would be most suitable for that? We have probably established that areas 1 through to 8 and number 12 are done. Like 12 is going to wind up being, what is it going to be? Granary. Let's do this. 8. So our castle keep is 12. And we have a bunch of other places, of course, here. But our granary is now apparently going to be number 12. I don't number 9. I believe it's number 9. You've selected one that has like a large building and one smaller building beside it, so that's fine. It's close to where everything is. Yep. I used up 1/3 of the location, so others need to get busy. Exactly. And Fred Huber, I appreciate you putting forward so many ideas. For those of you who are thinking, I'm not going to get this done, I have a plan. I have a much better plan this time, so I'm all ready for that. So our blacksmith, so let's get our civilized half-orc blacksmith and put him in 8, because that's where you decided it was going to be. I'm fine with that. So our blacksmith has a forge. There's I believe 8 is made up of how many buildings? 8 is made up of 3 buildings. So one will be the smithy with a forge, one will be a tool shed, and one is a metal and iron storage. Yep, that's fine. The smithy workshop tools are anvil, hammers, vices, tongs, chisels, punches, bags of coal, hardy tools, and cone mandrel. Okay, so now we've got an NPC here. A civilized half-orc, half-ogre, ogre, called Ganesh. Not American. Okay, beats metal into weapons and tools. This is what he's currently doing. There we go. Cool. That's that bit done. Next, let's have a look at what John has got here. For those of you who don't come up with ideas, I will work our way through this. Don't you worry. 10 minutes and we're about to burn it all down, people. Okay, storage and supplies, especially some way to hunt or grow things daily. And water for fresh and wastewater. An ice house would be awesome, but is it to maintain and stock? So here's what we're going to do is we've got to decide which set of buildings. I want you to pick a number, Jean, and decide which would be the most appropriate for our kitchen area. If it's not going to be built into the keep and the kitchen's got its own set of buildings, how many buildings do we need? we can have the kitchen building, the bakery building. We can have a butchery possibly. We could have a pantry. We can have food storage. You mentioned an ice house. Okay, an ice house for storing ice. Ice house is not very big. It's a very small little shed, so it's not like it's a huge area. So by all means, so we've got to decide which number that needs to be assigned to, where it's going to go. Okay, so if we're dealing with 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe five buildings for all of that sort of thing. If there are 5 buildings in a collection, or maybe 4 buildings, that would make a good area for our kitchen. Area 16 might be pretty good for making it the kitchen area, or we might decide that that's going to be more suitable for something else. I'm going to suggest that number 11 might be good for, barracks and mess halls and so forth for troops. I'd go for 16. Looks beat. Okay. Yep. I think supplies and storage is 13, or what's at 2 though. Number 2. Number 2 here, this is the rear gate. This is a gatehouse. Okay, this will be a guardhouse or gatehouse, number 2. So number 2's actually kind of already got something going on here. So yeah, if you're wondering, yeah, we've definitely got a gatehouse there. We don't have a drawbridge, so we get rid of this. Here we go. So gatehouse, guardhouse. So gatehouse and guardhouse, I think we've definitely got 2 buildings associated with one that are that. And then the other one for 2 will just be a gatehouse, not a guardhouse. So they don't have quite as much going on there. So we're going to have these sorts of things at various places. So we're doing that. And then where were we? Looking at your storage idea. Chapel. Hello, Derp. Derp is a patron also. Hello, Pale Rider. Nice to have you here. Okay, storage. Now, you said storage on. We have 7 minutes left, and then we're moving on. So, storage. And I wanted to get granary sorted and nailed down a little bit. Cut. Copy. What is a granary? Meaning. Define granary. Okay. All right, so let's do that. Paste a tall storage house for threshing grain. Threshing and crushing. Crushing grain. We also, with that area, we have a building, so we have a storage building as well there, so we'll put storage building. X. Jesus, is it? A warehouse for holding, keeping bags of grain. Okay. All right, so we've got that bit done. Next, going through the list here. 12, chicken coop, milking cows, small garden, a butch area for hunting. You really want to make 14 a... Okay. And then somebody else said 16 looks beat. Supplies and storage 13. Supplies and storage 13. Okay. And then 9, chapel. Now 9 has already been assigned, so we're going to put the chapel somewhere else. Okay, so that's fine. We can keep a chapel in here. We're just going to assign it to a different collection of buildings. Shrines, praying, da-da-da. Okay, so let's move your 9 to somewhere else. 4 minutes, people. 4 minutes. Don't you feel a pressure? I know I do. I know I do. Okay. So I'm thinking chapel area. So we want enough going on here, but not too much. Okay, all right. Okay, so next we need to decide where it's going to be. It could be 10, it could be smaller. We don't need a lot of buildings for this. 8 has already been assigned. It could be 5, 15. 15 is 3 buildings. 14 is 3 buildings. Let's go with 14. Let's put it in 14. We'll move it over to 14. So that's probably fine where it is. Okay, 14. The kitchen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buildings really is what we're looking for. 5 buildings that are close together in a cluster. Well, we've got 4 buildings in 10. 4 buildings in 10 would work. We have 4 buildings in 16. So 10 or 16 could easily be that. Okay, all right, 2 more minutes. So I'm generally feeling like we want to go with more buildings rather than less buildings. My general feeling is 11 could make a really good area for the barracks. So let's go with that. And 10 will make it's going to be our kitchen area, wasn't it? 10. 10's up here. We've got a series of buildings. And it's actually like, it's got a little auxiliary building. So we've literally got what looks like 4 buildings and a little one. There's our ice house. So we've got our ice house nailed down. So that's 5 buildings, which is perfect for what we want. So let's go with that. Cut that. And I'll drop that in. That's 10. Okay, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 is in the wrong place now, so we'll take that one out. This is cut and back it down. Okay, I think we're getting there. I got most of the things that you guys were suggesting. 12, next 13, we have to make a decision. 13 could easily be stables or something else. There's a lot of buildings there. So let's go with close to the gate and put stables there. And I think we've roughly got what we needed to have, where we needed to have it. 14. Okay, all right, so we're finished in time. The time is up. Whatever suggestions you had on offer have now been locked down. Okay, I have assigned various things. If you haven't numbered or labeled something, I've done it. Okay, so for those of you who are wondering, oh, is this going to work? It's all right. Chill. It is going to work. My hat is off. So let's show you our castle, because in half an hour we have built a castle. To be fair, I cheated. Just in case you weren't going to get it done in time, I built it beforehand. And I've just been moving things around. Okay, just in case you couldn't get it done in time, or not enough people were saying stuff, I actually built it and I've just been moving stuff around. Aren't I a sneaky little prick? Okay, so now that I've done that, and I've given away what I've been up to, this is the document that I have. Okay, it doesn't have a lot of information in it. Okay, we don't have adventure hooks, we don't have wandering monsters, and wandering monsters probably don't necessarily need to be a factor in a situation like this. Okay, so don't get too caught up on that. And then main features, I haven't gone into that, but we have. Number 1 is the main gate. Number 2 is the rear gate. Okay, we have a gatehouse and a guard house right next to the main gate. The rear gate has a gatehouse, but no guardhouse. We have fortifications for dealing with that. Even though the number 1 is open and the gates are open right now, don't worry, they'll be closed under siege. Fortified tower A, B, C, and D. This is number 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, those are the things that I'm looking at right now. That's what we've got. I've marked 7 as an observation tower. Okay, how that would work, I don't know. It's really up to you. I didn't do too much with it. I just looked at it and thought, that's another fortified tower. Why would you have it? Probably because it's a lot taller than the rest of them. And I've just put an observation tower. So it probably extends a little bit higher than the other towers. Next, 8, we decided it's going to be the smithy, where there's a forge, a tool shed, metal and iron storage. Okay, so we've got some buildings for that. We've got the granary, which is basically a tall building for thrashing and crushing grain. It may even have a windmill attached to it. And we have a storage warehouse beside that next to Area 9. 10 is our kitchen complex. So we have our kitchen, our bakery, our butchery, pantry, food storage, and an ice house. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buildings, okay? And that's all sorted out. What's there, I've figured out in advance. 11 is our soldiers' barracks. Okay, it's close to the main gate. 12 is the castle keep. It'll have a great hall in it. It'll have a throne room, might be part of the great hall or might be separate, but probably is the same thing. It has an interior well. There is a treasure vault, but we don't have to have a treasure vault. There's actually, the keep itself has got a couple of little blocks off it, so we can do a little bit more with it if we needed to. 13 is the stables, okay? 14 is the armory, and 14's actually got a number of different buildings there, but that's what we've got there. Vault for weapons, armor, and ammunition, okay? There's a couple of buildings there, so you can separate your armor from your weapons and your ammunition. 15 is the chapel complex, so that'll have a chapel, a nunnery, something like that. I haven't sort of nailed down all of that. And then 16, we're going to have as marked down as our jailhouse, with an execution building and a torture shed. Okay, so we've got the basic structures that we require here. We've got what we need. Now that we've done that, now we've got to burn it and fuck it all up, because we're going to lay it under siege. And hopefully, while we've been doing this, you've been thinking about what and who should be laying siege to it. Now, Fred Huber's already put forward that it is a wizard's guild, but it doesn't have to be a wizard's guild. Does that make sense? Now, there is a bunch of different things that you can do to a location like this. And I am going to put forward, you might have noticed I've already got down the bottom there a couple of different suggestions. I want you to pick a location on the map, and I want you to decide what's happening there. I'm going to put forward a couple of different suggestions in terms of how that might look, and explain a couple of different things in terms of laying siege, and you're going to let me know. An army of gnomes surrounds the castle demanding bacon. The gnome wizard turn opponent into frogs, which are slaughtered for frog's legs. I'm actually not against the idea of the army being gnomes and being literally being led by a gnome wizard. It's actually a pretty good idea. Somebody comes up with a better idea, great. If you don't, we're going to go with his. You know, that's the deal. So right now, I'm going to mark down Fred Huber's idea into my Google document till somebody comes up with something better. Okay, so I'm going to go through the different things. Peter's already put forward enemy trebuchets lay siege on the stronghold, and yes, there would be. But what we want to do is we want to set up situations at each location. Maybe not all of those locations, but most of those locations where something can happen. And I'm going to explain how you might want to go about doing that. And you're going to decide and tell me where you want what and what's going on there. So now it's about hashtag what is going on at each location. Okay. All right. Let me just take an army of gnomes surrounded a castle. Okay. So gnomes obviously are the ones who have developed lots of technology, I guess, in this case. So an army of gnomes surrounds the castle, demanding, I don't know about bacon. We're going to demand something, but it can't be bacon. The army is led by a gnome wizard. Called who? Who is that? Okay, so there, unless you come up with a better idea, that's what we've got. Okay, now here are some suggestions to you to think about. Starting off with a battering ram or the tortoise. Okay, I think it's got a couple of other names. But yeah, it's basically a battering ram. I would suggest let's stick the battering ram attacking the front gate. When the army shows up to lay siege, that's probably what they're going to do, is try to knock down the main gate, and a battering ram on the front gate would be good. You could also put another battering ram, okay, or tortoise on the rear gate to try and take out that gate if you wanted to. Another thing to consider is the siege tower, which is a tall tower with troops in it that rolls on towards the wall of your castle or your fortress or your stronghold. And the idea behind it is that you're going to use it to drop down a sort of like a gangplank or something that allows them to get across. Now we could target any of the fortified towers, not necessarily a wall section, because the walls aren't really locations in this particular castle that we work with. But we could send a tower towards one of the fortified towers. It could be tower A, B, C, D, or 2, 3, 4, 2. It's 3, 4, 5, or 6. We could put a siege tower up against one of those, so that they've got to try to stop the tower from being able to drop its I guess its access bridge or whatever the heck it is. I don't actually know what it's called, and letting troops come on into the castle. So we could have that going on if we wanted. We have catapult missiles damaging either a gatehouse or a main gate or a rear gate if we wanted to. You could use because catapult fire isn't necessarily going to go very high, but it'd be good for attacking the walls of the castle, but it would also be good for trying to smash down a gate. Okay, we could attach our catapult missile fire and have something damaging the rear gate or even the front gate, depending on what you want to do. Okay, or even a tower. Catapult could hit a tower and cause damage. And so what are you dealing with? One, you've got to try to figure out how to fortify that location or deal with injured troops. Okay, next one is the trebuchet. Now the trebuchet, the great thing about the trebuchet, it's probably going to target the buildings inside the walls. So the trebuchet is probably not going to be necessarily targeting the towers, although it could be. I think you'll find catapults will be doing that. Instead, what you can do is you can target the buildings inside the castle, like the keep, the main building, okay, and various buildings within the keep can be hit by trebuchet fire. Okay, it's a big swinging machine that fires the rock up into the air and it comes all the way back down. We could have siege ladders. You can put siege ladders up against a wall, but also a fortified tower to get troops in. It might be easier to actually deal with troops instead of them trying to get over the wall, particularly if there's not a walkway. It might be easier to just lay the ladders up against a tower and climb up there. Do you know what I mean? So siege towers is another thing. This is to get you over the wall into the fortified tower. We can have flaming arrow vaults or volleys of flaming arrows sent into the center of our complex that will set buildings on fire as a potential threat. Okay, we could have having to rescue trapped troops that have been trapped under a collapse because either a catapult or a trebuchet has destroyed part of a building. You can have a tunnel. Maybe they've actually spent quite a lot of tunnel and they've tunneled underneath the castle wall and they come up right next to one of the building complexes and you've got to deal with troops coming in from there. You can also have what's called a hoist. It's like a lever and it's got a bucket on it and the bucket holds troops and it lifts them up to a certain point so they can get over the wall or into the fortified tower. That's what its purpose is. We can have a ballista firing really big spears and hitting troops on one of the fortified towers, or heck, maybe even the observation tower. So there's a couple of different things, and that is just the standard siege ideas that are out there. So pick a location, give me a number, and tell me what's going on. If you don't give me a number, then I don't know what to assign to it. If you're unsure what each location is, you let me know and I will go over it. So this is how you go about constructing your siege for a stronghold, a castle, or a fortress. Build it and then decide what are the threats that you can use. Now, I haven't even included things like flying dragons or flying machines that can drop bombs on certain areas or can get troops across. I mean, I haven't said anything like that, okay? But you could. You could. Anyway, let's have a look and see what you guys have come up with. No miners, is it sappers or undermining the southeast tower? The tower begins groaning as it shifts. Okay, good. Okay, so southeast. Let's see. Okay. Bum 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 bum. Southeast tower is number 3. So we're dealing with gnome miners, and they are undermining that tower. I actually think that's pretty good. It's not bad actually. Let's do that. Let's make that a thing. That's what's going on here. And here we go. No miners are tunneling oh it's not so much tunneling, is it? It's are digging away the tower's foundations. And the tower begins groaning as it threatens to fall. Okay, good. There we go. We've got something going on 3. Dun dun dun. Jean, someone could have accidentally disturbed a rock's nest or taken something from it, so now there are flying wild animals coming to retaliate. That might... Yeah, okay. Gone. I don't know what to do with that. I have no idea. You lost me completely. Okay, next, let's see. Maybe to retrieve something to attack a particular item or group. It's not enough information. I want you to kind of take your idea and have it mostly complete if you can, because if you give me stuff that's too nebulous and I have to do too much work, I can't do anything with it. It winds up getting lost. Do you know what I mean? So take your idea, make it simpler, strip it right down, and go from there. All right, here we go. Peter, what do you got here? Evil gnome wizard and flying red dragon on a flying red dragon. Breathing fire was the casting fireballs. Yes, okay, that's fine. So you've got a threat, but which area is it attacking? Your concept is simple enough, but you haven't spelled out where you want them to be attacking. What part of the castle or fortress or stronghold is actually under attack? Do you know what I mean? So we can take that idea and we can put it somewhere, but the question is, where do we put it? That's the first thing, is where do we put it? The gnome wizard is riding a flying red dragon, breathing fire, while the wizard is casting fireballs at something. What are we dealing with here? Come on. So decide where that's going. That's fine. We just got to put it somewhere. Okay, next. Fred Huber, A Death from Above. Gnomes on giant buzzards dropping skunks on the castle to cause mad skunks to spray the occupants. Okay, so that's quite interesting. I like that idea. It's a bit weird. It's going to have to be a giant buzzard. So let's take the bird, the rock idea, and let's stick our gnomes on a giant bird. It can be a giant buzzard. It's fine. So we just need to decide where are they? Are we going for general carnage? I want you to assign them to a place. This is why I said what's happening at each location. Gnomes on giant buzzards. Buzzards are dropping. Skunks on the castle. Okay, so you're actually dropping them on the actual castle itself or on the keep? I think you mean the keep. The castle keep. Castle keep. Okay, to cause mad skunks to spray the occupants. I think, okay, I understand now. That's what you were aiming for. You were talking about the actual central building, weren't you? So that's fine. We have a place for that now. Let's take that and stick that where it belongs, which is 12. Skunk attack. Dun, dun, dun. There. All right, cool. Nice. Trebuchet attacking number 12. Okay, so you want skunk bombing. Okay, so okay, I get it. Yep. It took me a little while to get a trebuchet. Let's take a trebuchet and hit something else, because I think Fred Huber has decided that the keep should be getting hit by various things. So let's put our trebuchet attack against something else instead. Can approach from the south with troop pushing a siege tower, like a rolling platform with 3 forward walls, a few stories tall, so it can be scaled from the inside once it is pushed against the fort wall. So from the south with troops pushing a siege tower. Okay, we're putting a siege tower somewhere, and you said the south. Well, let's put our siege tower up against Tower 4. Area 4, Tower 4, that's where we'll put it. Okay? All right, and we need to come back to trebuchet, because 12 is going to... We've already got something happening at 12. We don't have to stick anything else there, since it's apparently getting bombed by skunks. The keep. Okay, so number 4 is your idea, which is we're putting a siege tower up against it. And I think you had a description. Okay, 3 stories tall, so it can be scaled from the inside once it is pushed against the wall. Okay, so let's go here. I've got this. Actually, I go with that. Okay, and number 4. So tower 4 is under threat from a siege tower and the wall around that area. A siege tower, 3 stories. 3 stories? Let's make it 4 stories. 4 stories high is being pushed toward the what's pushing it? Guard tower by what? What's actually pushing the tower itself? We're gonna have something pushing it. Give us something interesting. Are these gnomes likely to be using trolls or giants, or have they built a machine that allows them to push it? Do you know what I mean? So have a think about that. So we've got our area 4 is now under attack. Dun dun dun. Bad news for that location. I'm going to just highlight these areas here so that I know what you guys have decided to put against what. And we'll go down here a little bit. Dun, 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 dun. And we just keep clocking off. So area 3 and 4 has already got a threat against it. Area 12 has got a threat against it. Okay, and we've just got to finish the other ones. We've got to decide what we're going to do to them. What horrible things are taking place in those locations. Okay, next. Can approach from the south with troop pushing siege towers like rolling. Yeah, we've got that. Doing flybys, probably focusing on the manor house or the barracks. Okay. Now, what sort of flybys are we dealing with, Peter? I'm just looking at what you're suggesting. Oh, the dragon. The dragon is doing flybys and casting fireballs. So we need to have to make sure I've put that in the right place. Have we got it somewhere? You want that to go after the barracks. And the barracks is number 11 on our map. Okay, all right, let's attack the barracks. If we feel like that's a good point of call, let's burn it a little bit, shall we? Let's take your gnome wizard flying on a dragon. Let's go cut and aim for the barracks. Paste. A gnome. A gnome wizard is riding a flying red dragon, breathing fire, while the wizard is casting fireballs at the barracks. Barracks. The barracks, and if it's 11, which I believe it is, the barracks, mess hall, and lavatory is Currently on fire. Currently burning. Okay, all right. Let's take that off the cards. We have dealt with our barracks. Good. Barracks are now on fire, so is the mess hall. That'll be fun. Okay, cool. Next, what else we got here? What other threats do we have? Oh, somebody is... I see the... Why are we back to liches again? You guys can't help yourself. So, let's go here. Let's prompt you again and go back and see what else we come up with. Paste. The Lord of the Worms is a lich attacking with 4 undead purple worms from below. Where did this undead lich come from? Okay, all right. I know what we're doing. Let's. You said wizard. A wizard can be a lich. So let's make the leader of our gnome army the army is led by a gnome. Let's do this. A gnome lich. I don't know what you want to call said lich, but we now have a lich. I don't know about... We're dealing with purple worms. Wow. Zombies full of rot grubs. Okay, so if we have undead purple worms attacking area 4, I think 4 has already been selected. So we can go for a building complex underneath here. So undead purple worms. Undead purple worms. We're going to go with that. Oh my gosh. All right, so how do we do this? Area 4 could be area 14. What is 14? What would happen if we did something horrible to 14? 14 is the armory. Or we go after the kitchen area. What about the kitchen area? Number 10 would be funny because that's like where all the food is, right? Let's go after the kitchen area. Let's go after number 10. Let's put your yeah. So gargantuan undead purple worms are burrowing holes under the storage warehouse and eating the food. Okay. All right, that means that number 10, our food storage, is now under threat. Dun, dun, dun. We haven't gone for the granary, but we could have. We could have actually stuck it in the granary, which would be number 9. That would be funny. But this is more fun. Let's just put that there. It's a nifty idea. Let's include that. I haven't included any of my ideas yet, people. I'm waiting to see if you guys run out of ideas. Anyway, let's keep going. Zombies full of rot grubs. Hello, Pale Rider. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with zombies full of rot grubs. Really not too sure at all. Let's see what we have in terms of areas that have not been attacked. Okay, we haven't done the main gate or the rear gate, although I feel like they're pretty obvious. We haven't done Tower C, which is area 5, or Tower D, which is area 6. Area 7, the observation tower. The smithy has still not been attacked. The granary hasn't been attacked, which is number 9. 13 is a stable area for animals. 14 is an armory. 15 is the chapel complex. 16 is the jail house. So, or jailing area. So we've still got a few things we can go after. We've got a couple of towers that still need some things done to them, something horrible. And we definitely, I feel like we need to go after the granary because that's just a food source, and that would just be sensible, wouldn't it not? Clearly, things like stables where animals are kept are probably going to be pretty useful to take out as well. You're probably going to be less interested in the chapel and the jailhouse. Maybe if you can burn down the armory, that would be great. So yes, a couple of things, and of course, gates need to be attacked. So what do we got here? Have a spy unleash something in the chapel, but something like a few skeletons. If you want to escalate, you could put. Okay, so this is. So you're really having to do a. Why not? Do we have a spy? If you have a spy, why would they release a few skeletons? I'm not too sure that makes sense. We could have paratrooping skeletons, though, if you really want to have paratrooping skeletons. Or paratrooping gnome zombies. I suppose that's an option. Or skeletons, something like that. Let's just mark this down. I don't know whether you want to do this. So this is the chapel. You want to go after the chapel. You've given me a target, so let's take that target. And let's include that bit. I think the spy idea isn't going to work. Okay, so parachuting gnome skeletons are dropped by a large rock. Okay, so hook near the chapel. Okay, so you've got that going on there. You want to put revenants in there? That's pretty rough. Do you want to give it a boss? Parachuting gnome skeletons and a revenant. Let's include your revenant. All right, so we have parachuting stuff going on now. Okay, that's entertaining. It's very clever. Honestly, it's pretty clever. Pretty clever. I'm impressed. Okay. From the north, a mass of gnomes are herding giant scorpions towards the wall. The scorpions, of course, attack both the castle and the gnomes. Okay. That sounds like that's going to be complicated for everybody. Anyway, let's take your idea and I'll put it away for another day. I'll think about like how I can incorporate that a little bit later on. Let's see, paste. That's funny as. Okay, next. Burrowing. Scorpions do burrow, yes. Ground bursting enemies sound good in general. Random worm or zombie springing up is a surprise. Okay, so we've got parachuting skeleton, parachuting. Oh God, paratroopers. I'm trying to say, parachuting skeletons, gnome skeletons, and we've got a revenant with them, and they're okay. So that's that in the chapel. Okay, parachuting gnome skeletons and a revenant are dropped by a large rock near the chapel to now what are we wanting to do to this area? That's the question. Is there a purpose to this? Chapel 2, steal valuables. I guess we could do that. Give it some sort of purpose. I'm not entirely sure that that's going to make a lot of sense. Why the heck are they doing that sort of thing? Is this what you would do in the middle of a battle? I don't really feel like it is. But anyway, let's keep going. What else have we got here? The attackers are at 4. Pushing the siege tower should be a mixture of conscript or enthralled humans, maybe a few goblins or gnolls. Okay, all right. I see what you're saying. Okay. Just dropping undead creatures from the flying buzzards are random across the general. I want to focus on areas. We often, when we're doing these, we wind up creating very general events. General events are hard to manage for a game master. Maybe not for you, but they're hard to manage. This is why I'm going to point you in the direction to assign these things to a location. This is where they happen. Okay. Now the other thing is, like, when are they going to happen? Because if we have it all happen all at once, that's a lot to manage. So what we do is we assign a way of figuring out when this happens, so that the players don't have to sort of figure out of the 16 different locations, where do I go? We only have a handful of different choices for them to make. Does that make sense? And we can do that with a dice mechanic. So we can literally use a 20-sided dice and have them roll, and have the game master roll a 20-sided dice 3 times or 2 times to determine which event's taking place first. That's an easy way of dealing with this. Okay, all right. Dragon's Lord. Okay, so all right, I see what you're trying to say here. Okay, let me bring up what we have, so you can see, and I'm going to shove a couple of different suggestions in here, and that should hopefully get us mostly started. I'm just trying to make sure I got that. Siege tower, gnomes are digging underneath there. What else we got here? Got worms. We've got flying dragons and wizards. We've got dropping skunks. We've got paratrooping gnome skeletons. Okay, so we've got a few nutty things. Let's go over here. So I'm going to put a couple of things. So we're going to have a battering ram. We're going to use one. Okay, I think because I want to be able to mix it up a little bit and give us an option so we can actually make a few different things going on. So we'll go battering ram. Take that away. Let's put that against our main gate. Okay. And let's add this one line. A battering ram rolls up to the main gate and starts smashing start smashing it. Okay, so we've got battering ram included. Let's take that out. Let's do the rear gate a little different. Let's put something else against it. We can hurl a lot of different things at a gate. We could send a catapult missile at the gate. Let's just hit that with a catapult. Let's put that there. Paste. A catapult missile hits and partially damages the rear gate. There we go. So we have another event taking place, which is a little bit different to everything else. So we'll unhighlight this. We have assigned it. Got that. Somebody had said something about a trebuchet. We haven't actually put the trebuchet into effect yet, I'm pretty sure. I don't think we've hit anything hard with our trebuchet. So let's hit a... now we've got a siege tower already. We don't want to do that too many times if we can help it, because we want to break it up a little bit. We've got that there. We've got our catapult missile fire, so let's get rid of that. Let's put a trebuchet... Let's hit one of the... ooh, hard to say what I want to do here. No, let's leave the trebuchet for now. Let's go with siege ladders. Let's get some siege ladders going up against a tower. So go cut, and we'll stick them up against this tower here. Paste. Siege ladders are set against the tower. Are set against the tower. Tower. While troops well, let's go with gnome troops. Gnome zombie troops, I think. Gnome zombie troops try climbing up. Okay, there we go. We've got our siege ladders on 5. Bum, bum, ba. All right. I'm going to jump over and see what you guys have come up with while I've been pumping this in. I'm sure you've come up with some ideas. General siblings, murdering the crown. I got it. I think I get the method. Yeah, the idea behind this is it's really difficult to create an adventure that's event-based without... They're very easy to undermine. You know, for players to actually wreck it, they can wreck it really easily. But if you make it location-based, then we've got a much better chance of it being successful. And then you can overlay with your location-based adventure any sort of events related to your campaign. Yep, that's exactly right. You're exactly right. They're just really big ladders. Really long, big ladders. Well, I feel like we went gnomes, but I feel like we're going with zombie gnomes now, which is a little bit different to what we had before. An army of zombie gnomes. Because if we've got a lich involved, it's probably going to be that. Zombie gnome surrounds the castle by a gnome lich called... We haven't got a name for that yet. I don't know what they're demanding. We haven't figured that one out. So let's keep going. I'm going to keep... I've got a couple more things I can drop into here, but you guys can keep throwing your ideas. And but look, within a very short space of time, we'll have most of the structure that we require, believe it or not. And you guys have already included probably some of the more interesting concepts into this already. If you hadn't figured it out, you really have. Like it's mostly stuff that I hadn't come up with. I just came up with very, very general things that you could include. Do you know what I mean? Okay, let's take the trebuchet rock and let's hit their observation tower. Your suggestion? I don't know what that did. I don't know what that did. What did I do? Did I do something stupid? No, I haven't. Okay. Let's use our trebuchet rock. Oops, no, that's not what I want. Undo. Forward. Okay. I hit a button and I don't know what it was. It must have been the suggestion button. That's probably what it is. Okay, so cut. Oh, jeez. Stop doing that. I don't want this. Can I undo the suggestion? Editing. I want it in edit mode. You're editing. Don't do this. Oh, it's very annoying. Okay, let's see if I can get this right. I don't know if this is going to work. I hope. Cut. Let's knock out our observation tower with a trebuchet. Bum bum bum, and paste. A trebuchet rock hits the building. Hits the tall building, causing a partial collapse. Okay. Okay, so there we go. We can do something there. We will mark this as done on that one. I think we've got that. Yes, cool. All right, next, what else have I got here down here that we can take and do something horrible to our castle with? We have the hoist and the bucket. Now, the hoist and the bucket, I'm going to suggest we can actually hit one of the towers with. That would be probably pretty easy to do, hoist and bucket. So we still have a fortified tower. A large lever, not liver, lever-like hoist with a bucket. Bucket rolls up to the tower, lifting, for troops. Not a lot. A large lever-like hoist with a bucket rolls up to the tower, lifting 4 zombie gnomes, I guess. Gnomes. A large lever-like hoist with a bucket rolls up to the tower, lifting 4 zombie gnomes toward the arrow slits. I think that's good enough. Let's make it skeleton. Let's make it skeletons. Because if it's skeletons, they might be able to squeeze through there. Yeah, there we go. Skeletons have got a lot less to worry about, so they'll probably get through there. So we can now put them there. Now we've started to unleash a bit more stuff. We can probably start looking at how some of the other stuff is going to work. We've actually done a lot of it. Like literally most of it is pretty close to being done. What we don't have are things like adventure hooks and so forth to deal with at this present time. We haven't kind of covered that. But I'm filling in your various ideas as we go. F2P Coda, hello, how are you? They want the special bacon to restore their lich to live into to life. Oh, come on. You're going back to the bacon thing. Is there going to be multiple layers and emergency vents to the siege as it's going longer? The enemies get more powerful and you can add secret bosses and hazards that the invaders don't know about. No, I haven't. What I want to do is I want to make this simple. If we have too many, the easiest way to adjudicate something like this is, as I said, roll a 20-sided dice and assign to those numbers on the dice what's going to happen. Okay, so and then you roll, say, 2 or 3 times, and during the siege, you present to your players, there are 3 things taking place. Which ones do you want to deal with now? Okay, that's probably the simplest way to deal with it. Life is bacon. Okay, so I would suggest that rolling 1 through to 16 is going to do something, and rolling a 17, 18, or 19, or 20 is going to result in no event. There's no specific event at that particular time. So if I roll it 3 times right now, I'll get a 14, so that means that the 14 would be events around 14 would take place. If I roll a 1, then the ram is going to go up against area 1, the main gate. And then if I roll a 5, then area 5, tower 5, whatever's happening at tower 5, that's what's going to take place. That's how I would suggest you put it forward, okay? And it'll probably unfold a little bit more. It'll, if you re-roll a number, you don't roll it, you don't obviously count it, you just roll again. But that's how you would sort of mix it up, so that each time you ran it, it would come out slightly different. And that way you can stagger your events. It's still location-based adventure. It's still a location-based adventure, but you have actually randomized your events so that they are going to happen at different points. And you can tie that into your narrative for your players, so it makes it so much easier. So I'm going to write a little note on that so you can see what I mean in a second. Kind of thinking range-based as if the location-based, thinking range-based as if it's location-based. So someone doesn't really need a map to play on. It's theatre of the mind. Yeah. Mid-range, near, open, obscured. Yeah, okay, yep. Well, yes, I'm of the opinion that having secret stashes or something you can find in each location is a nice idea. Not every location needs to have a secret, but I would agree that it's nice to have something you could find at each location. I've kind of already written those up. They're already there. You just may not have noticed them. So let me just write up and show you what I would do in terms of how you would structure each thing, because each location has potential events that take place, right? So how would you structure it so that you can make it feel like there's an ongoing battle, and then as time goes by, different things are going to take place? Okay, so we haven't finished, out of this, we haven't finished number 8, 9, 13, 14, or 16. Let's not worry about that right now, okay? We can do something with them shortly. This is what I would suggest to you. Okay. The game master rolls a 20-sided dice. Each phase of the siege 3 times. Each number on the D20 represents a location with an event taking place. If you roll a 17, 18, 19, or 20, nothing happens. Okay, during that phase. But you're rolling 3 times, remember? So you're going to have 3 choices. The players, the characters need to choose which event to assist with during the siege battle, but generally can't do all of them. Now, there's a reason why I've written this up, okay? There's a reason why I've written it this way. So as you can see, the Game Master rolls a 20-sided dice, each phase of your siege 3 times, okay? So you've got 3 different things happening. Each number of the D20 represents a location with an event taking place. If you roll 17, 18, 19, or 20, nothing happens during that phase. So you could still roll 3 times, but maybe because you rolled a 17, you only have 2 events taking place, or even 1 event. You might even have no event taking place. During a phase, during a siege, that would give players the opportunity to rest, potentially. But we'll see how that plays out. Now, the reason I've said here, the characters need to choose which event to assist with during the siege battle, but generally can't do all of them. Now, here's the idea behind this, and this is where my head is at when I was thinking about this. There are times when players may split the party. If players split the party and can still succeed, then of course they will engage in more than one event. But these events are taking place at the same time. Okay, so each taking place with an event taking place at the same time. Okay, there we go. So that covers your bases in terms of trying to make it a bit more dynamic for your castle siege, so that you can have layers on this. And of course, if you roll something you've already rolled before, you would re-roll until you get something different. And of course, each one of those events that takes place in certain locations will eventually be crossed off your list. And how it all plays out in the end, well, I don't want to spell that out completely, because I feel like when you're dealing with a castle siege, there's a lot of things that are taking place. There's a lot of things that can happen. So you have to decide, have they done enough to save the castle, to save the fortress, to save the stronghold? If they haven't, they haven't. And if they have, they have. I'm not going to highlight that at this present time. That's where my head is at with this, if you're wondering. Okay? Okay, let's just see what chat has to say. Enemy Lich picks the shiniest PC and casts heat metal. Dear. Alright, so we're going to keep going through our locations. I'm going to keep adding in stuff. You're going to keep giving feedback. And if you have any questions, throw them in there so that I can see them. Okay? And I'm going to work through the last few, since I've taken what ideas you've put forward, and we've got most of it down, but not all of it. I would like there to be something that happens in every single location on this map. That's really what we're targeting, okay? It's like, can we do something to every spot on the map at some point? They may never be used. You may not have to use every single one of them. I'm not suggesting that you do. But it gives you plenty of options about what's taking place. Okay, let's go back down here. Now, flaming arrow vaults, setting a building on fire. Having to put out a fire would be a good thing. That would be quite an interesting concept. So let's go with taking our flaming arrows and decide on what's the building when it will burn down. Do we really care about the jailhouse? Do we really care about the armory? Is the armory really a factor here in this the circumstance? Or can we do something else to it? Do we want to burn the stables? Now the stables is going to have a whole lot of things that will burn. That'll actually be pretty good place to hit, would be to go after that. We could burn the granary, like we could go after the granary in some way. The granary has got food in it, so that's certainly another way. Burning, destroying the food. But maybe we don't. Let's go with the stables. Let's decide that a volley of arrows that are on fire are going to hit our stables. A large large volley of flaming arrows. Hits the main stable. Now, can we do a bit more to that? I'm just wondering if maybe we can do a bit more. The main stable building. Stable building, stables. Setting the building on fire. There we go. All right, so we've got a fire to put out. Let's take that. That's our volley of arrows. Next, a ballista firing spears. Now, ballista firing spears probably isn't going to work against too many things unless we're dealing with a structure that's really tall. So that's a bit of a problem in that we would like to have something that can kind of work with that one. We might come back to that one. Here we go. We could have trebuchet trapping soldiers if we have a place where soldiers are. We can also have a tunnel. We had tunneling taking place before, but that was with purple worms. Do we have soldiers to ballista fire? So armory, granary. I don't know that the granary makes sense in this case, but I do feel like maybe there are gnomes, so tunneling underneath to the let's go with this one. Tunneling under the castle walls to the smithy and forge. They're gnomes. Okay, paste. Okay, so let's go with here. We've got here zombie gnomes. Tunnel. Under the castle walls, a digging machine and erupt near the smithy building to steal tools and metal bars. Resources. Okay, so we've got our zombies doing their tunneling. Zombie gnomes. Zombie gnomes are back again. There we go. All right. Next, I have 3 more locations, 3 more things that need to take place, and a few more minutes left to go. Rescuing trapped soldiers. Do we have any soldiers anywhere significant? The armory, probably not. The granary, maybe not. Maybe it needs to just be somebody else or something else. If you guys have got some ideas what we want to do to the jailhouse, or what we would like to do to the armory, or we could change out the soldiers for just, you know, prisoners, or just troops. I guess we could target any of those. That would be fine. We do have something happening at each location, so we've done that bit. 3 more to go, and would be sorted. I think this is a zombie gnome army. We've got a lich involved apparently, so we've wound up with a zombie gnome army. Okay, so what have we got here? You've put in a few different ideas here. First thing I would do if defending is find a way to rig the blacksmith to ignite the granary as some sort of weapon. Oh, I see. Dear. All right. But if the siege goes on for months or years, then you go to preserve the granary and keep any kind of fire away from it. You should add, if you want a core location to the castle or base where the main BFG can send direct orders and have an influence on the siege, like a stat boost. The core building is the keep in the center, which is 12. But you know, really, if you're under siege, you're not going to be attacking the leader of the armed forces or army that's leading it. Do you know what I mean? Of course, that can go that way, but we're just dealing with this location. We're not dealing with 2 things that are too far out of our realm. Otherwise, it's too hard. Okay, the jailhouse would be really important when attacked by zombies or white gnomes, otherwise being turned undead or into enemies. So, okay. Giant insects, undead insects. Well, the stables are already on fire. Okay, but if we want to have giant undead insects, we can. We could have a swarm of giant undead insects come in. Yep. Aerial attack. You want to put griffins or something. Okay, let's take your giant undead insects and go after the granary. Giant undead locusts. A swarm of giant undead locusts. Break into the granary. Buildings, and start eating the food supplies. Okay, it's time to get rid of giant undead insects. There we go. Nice. That's 9 down. We've only got the armory and the jailhouse. What have you got here, people? Animal stables, aerial attack, griffins. Aerial attack on griffins. A threat. Griffins, I'm not too sure what to do with that. We'll just put this under here. Paste. And keep going through this list. Scorpions from the north, burrowing through the dirt, loose rock and mortar, outer wall. Okay, so we want to have giant scorpions, do we? Metal eating fae, would they? Why would metal eating fae align themselves with a gnome lich? I don't see the connection myself. Anyway, let's keep going. You want to have somebody who wants to include some gnome wights erupting from beneath the smithy building, with their digging machines trying to burn objects to the ground. So, do we even need to worry about that? Is a wight really going to be slowed down by a wall? If we're dealing with undead creatures, is a wight slowed down really by a wall? 30, 300, 300. Don't know that they are. Let's have a look here. Vampire spawn, wight. So wights aren't incorporeal. But I get the impression that we're wanting to have scorpions digging out from underneath. So let's take Jean's idea of the scorpions. And let's keep going. Its own purpose. Also, the lich can throw in runes that have animated dead by the catapult. Oh, I see. Yep, I see where you're going. I'm not going to add in the sons of Kate. Yeah, that's IP. So let's leave that alone. But we can do. We've got their flying buzzards, giant flying buzzards. We've got our dropping undead troops, skeletons, revenant, giant insects. I don't know about wanting bacon, but we can certainly do something with the idea of the scorpion. And let's just make them undead scorpions. And let's have them go after the armory. So undead. So giant undead scorpions. Scorpions, giant scorpions. Scorpions burrow through the dirt. Dirt, burrow through the dirt. Under the outer walls and emerge near the armory buildings. To destroy let's do this, to destroy equipment. Okay, all right, so I think we've got that there. So we've got that little bit done. I don't know why that's not disappearing. It's still yellow. I don't want it to be yellow. Ah. Whatever. Okay, can I get rid of this one? Yes, that went away, but this one won't go away for some stupid reason. Okay, there we go. That's better. Cool. All right, so we've just got the jailhouse, and then I'm out of time. Let's erupt from Beneath the buildings, machines. We've got a digging machine already, so we're going to go with the scorpions. I think that's fine. They get trapped by firing, by flaming mushrooms. Okay, all right. So let's do a collapse. Let's do a rescue mission. I think launching a. You've got a bunch of hi Sherman. To lick the smash. Don't lick the smash button. Okay, don't lick the smash button. It's not good for you. Okay, so I see we've got a bunch of ideas. I'm just looking very quickly through what you've got here. I think catapult launching rot grubs would be terrible. Terrible. It's an awful idea. I think it would be far worse if it was a trebuchet that was launching rocks followed by rot grubs, or rocks covered in rot grubs. That's probably pretty nasty. We done a lot of rot grubbing stuff recently, so let's let's do that. So let's go find my trebuchet attack, which I'm pretty sure I'd smashed into the observation tower. Okay, our jail is now under threat. And let's have a look here. A few trebuchet rocks hit the a few trebuchet rocks hit the torture execution jailhouse, causing a partial collapse. The rocks break open, releasing swarms of rot grubs that begin eating the captives. This is probably one of those times when the players won't care. Rot grubs. Here we go. So we have all of that. That's another one down. Okay, now that we have all our locations, we've got a little bit of information here. Don't worry about the wandering monsters section. We need adventure hooks. We need some adventure hooks. What are the adventure hooks for this adventure? And we have limited time because I should really be on my bike and going to work. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Hashtag what is the adventure hook or quest for this castle siege from undead gnomes and a lich. Okay, that is what we're going to deal with. I'll see how you go. I'm kind of interested. The problem, I mean, you can add, so for example, F2P coder, you can include traitors and spies into a location like this. But the problem is it's really hard to adjudicate easily. I wouldn't do it. Do you know what I mean? The reality is that if you have people in a siege and you're under siege, a spy would be found out way too quickly and be executed. And there's almost no way of escaping easily without being spotted. So it would make no sense. I would leave the spy idea alone, honestly. I mean, it's a fantasy world, so anything's possible. But as I said to Jean, Sosby, I would leave the spy idea alone. It's way too hard to adjudicate. You're better to go with keeping it fairly simple. You know, the reality is a spy, it has really almost no purpose other than one opportunity to sabotage a location, okay? And then after that, it's done, okay? And you're guaranteed of being executed almost immediately after that. It would make much more sense to have a spy that can tell the army that's coming what's likely to take place, what sort of forces they have, where their forces are, then leave the castle before the siege. You don't want to be a spy stuck in a castle during a siege, because the chances are you're probably going to get killed either by those people in the castle defending it or by the enemy who are attacking it. Because, you know, trebuchet rock or catapult rock or flaming arrows, they don't differentiate between spies and non-spies. So it would be very, very stupid to be in that position during a war. Think about it. With spies in World War II, there was at least a way of escape. And with a castle under siege or fortress under siege, it's much more likely to find there's no way out because everybody's keeping an eye on all the exits. So I don't think it's a good idea. I think leave it alone. And yeah. Anyway, what else we got here? The head steward of the castle used to be an adventurer and either unknowingly possesses or knows of the phylactery. Forget about the phylactery. You're never going to find a lich phylactery. Forget about that. Just leave that go. Leave that one alone. Castellet blast fireball on a few cities, pigeons, then release them. And okay, all right. Castle has some object the siege leader wants. Perfect. We just got to decide what that is. Have been hired to transport the object to the emperor. So you've got two suggestions here. Really, I can break them apart a little bit. So we'll take that. The castle has some object the siege leader wants. We need to just determine what that might be. And the and hard to So, real simple, you can just hire them and say, yep, they've been hired to help with the siege. That'd be one way of going about it. And then what else have you got here, people? And then I've got to go. Don't need to have too many. God, you've got a lot of ideas. Alexander, hello. It's been a long time. I am fine, Alexander. We have been very, very busy. We've got a lot done. What's with the hat? It's just because it's getting a bit warm in my office, so I've taken the hat off. Do you know what I mean? It's still around. It's just sometimes my brain works better if I take it off. Also, another hook is that there is a secret knowledge and a key. Yes, okay, secret knowledge. Okay, that could work. We've got to figure out what that would be though. That's the only problem. An object, secret information. So, yep, I've got that. We've got that coda. Object is bacon. We're back to bacon. Pearsham, you could coordinate the bombardment and give the spy your fire plan. Leave the spy alone, people. I'm not touching the spy thing. Forget the spy. Forget the spy. Okay. Forget the spy. Let's just deal with a siege. Okay, anyway. Here we go. So the steward isn't the feudal figure ruling or governing from that location. They just maintain it while the authority figure resides there. I'm not too sure what that means. No, that's talking about spies again. Oh, maybe the keep was once belonged to the Lich and he wants it back. Yeah, okay, I can see that. I can see that back, a lot. That's actually pretty good. I like that. Nice one. Pretty good, Coda. The castle has some object the siege leader wants. We've got that there. Okay, so we've got a couple of ideas, and I think we're done. I think we're done. Okay, so I'm going to just switch right over to this document so you can see quickly what we've got. It is not complete, obviously, but we've done what we can in the time we had. Okay, so Stronghold Siege. We've got a couple of rough adventure hooks that honestly I'll probably have to rewrite. I'll add in 2 more, and I'll adjust this because I don't think this is really what I want to do with it. I'm going to probably take a lot of that out. We've got some mechanics here around how the adventure will run in the sequence, since we're using event-based and location at the same time. So we're doing a location-based adventure that have events that take place at certain points at different phases during the siege. Very, very simple mechanic. Location information, we've got all our location information, and we've got what events take place in those locations. So that's good. So we've got that numbered down. And a few notes there that I'll get back to at some other point when I get a chance. So there we go. That's it. We've done a siege, and you can see we did quite a lot in a very short space of time. Don't feel bad if I didn't take on board all your ideas. Sometimes I know that they're going to be problematic if I try to put them in, so I leave them alone. You think that the Black Adder has a phylactery? Dear. Yeah, so we've got enough going on. We've done a lot of air. There's been a lot of air attacks as well. Don't worry, it's covered. Yeah. Be careful we don't insert too much reality into fantasy. Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's end this poll. Let me get going. So, tomorrow I'm back, and tomorrow is a little weird. Tomorrow has been requested that when I do Game Master preparation tomorrow, that I'm doing non-player characters. We're going to build some non-player characters. We're going to build a lot of them, and we're going to use the 3-sentence structure. 3-sentence structure, very fast, to build a lot of NPCs, and we're building them for a castle adventure we made some time ago that I still have not put up onto Patreon, and somebody, Jasper, had requested that I get it sorted out. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to go through the process of making 3-sentence NPCs that are very, very simple and easy for you to put together, and we're going to do that quickly, okay? We have to make a lot of them. Somewhere in the vicinity of 20 or more. So that's a lot of NPCs very fast. So that's what's happening tomorrow for those of you who are interested. Anyway, now that I've said that, it's time for me to get out of here. Yep. Yes, a lot of random creation is likely to take place tomorrow. You can be guaranteed of that. We can do a lot of randomization for that to make it a little bit easier. Anyway, huge thank you to everybody who's been watching and listening. I do appreciate it. Hopefully it was useful to you and interesting, and you had some fun. I appreciate everybody who took part in the poll. I see that it says, have you made a castle siege adventure before? Yes, 45%. No, 45%. And incomplete, 9%. Get it done, people. 22 votes. Okay. Calrell, hello, how are you? I want to say a huge thank you to all of my patrons and my subscribers, but particularly my patrons, because really you are the ones who ensure that I keep running these programs over and over again, and then we do something else with them each time so that people get better at doing stuff. And that's really the whole point behind this, is for you to make your own adventures, not buy them, okay? So those people in chat in particular, I would like to thank Per Sherm, Cal Rell, Fred Huber, of course, because he's been here for a while, Jean, F2P Coda, Alexander for commenting, and welcome back to the party, baby. Welcome back. Things have changed a lot since you left, I'll tell you that now. I know you've been busy. Buried X20, Nice to have you here. And I believe Derp, also a patron, thank you for being here. Pale Rider was in here as well, providing some of his wisdom and ideas, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And if there was any... Oh, Peter. Can't forget Peter. Peter was here as well. If I've missed your name, it was not my intention to do... Phil. God, I can't forget Phil. If I've missed your name, it was not intended. Anyway, wherever you are in the world, people, whether it be the morning, the afternoon, or the night, please look after yourself, your family, and your friends. Be nice to neighbours. Make your own adventures. Until next time, keep rolling those 20s.